go. We've got our McCree here, which is going to be F7. Perfect. And we've climbed up to mid diamond. Excellent. So let's see where you go here. How do you feel about the concepts? Like, how do you feel about the improvement curve that you've had on our previous concepts? Do you feel most of those
Oh,
have
it's
stuck
big.
by now? Okay.
Especially with the angle peaking, like looking at one view and
Got
not
it.
like exposing yourself.
Got it. So closing the angle when you're dealing with one,
Yeah.
one angle at a time. Perfect. Perfect. Happy to hear that. We talked about some aim stuff. We talked about tip of the spear stuff. Okay. Yep. Good. Cool. So I'm thrilled to hear that, and I will be even more thrilled to see it play out. And then, if it plays out as I expect, we'll find some new things for you.
I have faith you can
All right.
get me patched back up, Doc. Thank you. Thank you, kindly. Thank you.
Okay. So you have yourself a hog ball with an echo who's gonna get a pocket. Nice. Just reseed this a little bit here. It was a check for the tracer. I don't particularly love this check for the tracer. I am going to get into reloads a bit here because I'm already seeing a bit that makes me worry. That's a one-shot reload, which isn't necessarily a problem because this actually is enough time to cover most of your reload before you have a sight here again. And then you've got your 3 shots, and you're checking for the tracer. But then why does this turn back into a reload? Does turning take time in Overwatch?
No.
Okay, so if turning doesn't take time, you don't really have a reason to be reloading here. It's not like, oh, this is dead time that I can, take advantage of to be reloading here. No, you have 3 more shots that you can potentially be pumping into this Reinhardt right here. And that is going to create some downtime for you, decrease the total amount of damage you've done. For the same reason that McCree doesn't, go on long flanks, etc., he really needs his uptime. He really needs to just kind of go, I am puking bullet after bullet after bullet after bullet. Like another one of his abilities is a roll that gets him his ammo back. Like, it's pretty important to him to minimize reloads here. So we're going to keep an eye on this as we keep going. Okay, and you're just rolling here because you're thinking, hey, I'm too far out. I thought my hog was going to be in front of me. I can live with that. I don't necessarily love that you were pushed quite this far up in the first place. I think you could have been playing a little more here-ish, a little more doing this. I think this was a little risky, but you took this position because your hog walked in front of you in the first place, yes?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yep, this is going to be a thing. But why though?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's
I
fine.
think it's just like it's like you do it like you don't really think of it. It's kind of like the autopilot
Oh,
thing.
I totally get it. You are totally not thinking about it. I find with a lot of players when they're doing this reload thing, they want to like always be at their full power. So it's like, oh, I'm missing some ammo. What if I get stuck in a 1v1? I better be ready for that, etc. So it's
Yeah.
fine. It's just something where it's going to be like, hey, you're potentially going to get 10, 15% more damage, pressure, etc. done if you're cutting it. Like, you've had 3 kind of you've had 3 early reloads at this point, and we are what are we, 15, 16 seconds into the match, which is sort of
Yeah.
like, okay. I mean, you had cover that time, so, more acceptable. I'm a little surprised. I don't mind taking shots at him here, especially if he's going to do that. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You convert those to shots. I thought you did some shield time there. That's fine. Again, one-shot reload when, you have targets.
Yeah.
You can do it. Why why would you flash the sleeping target rather than shoot it in the head and then flash it?
I don't I don't know. I
That's
think it
not
was just I think it's because I didn't realize that she was sleeping. Wait,
okay.
wait, was it like the exact same time that I?
No, 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 it definitely was not. Let's go here.
Much obliged. Payload's moving out.
I'm
Oh.
gonna slow this down so it's more obvious. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that.
that was stupid. I don't know why I did that
It's
actually.
all good. It's fine. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't some super secret big great brain strategy that I was missing out on here.
Easy.
I don't like quite how much you're reaching out here. Like, is up here really better than right here for protecting you from various things? Like, if we think about what you're fighting, you can fire over this just fine if you're standing at the Zarya, if the Zarya is who you want. And you've got a little more cover against the Doomfist, against the Zarya. You have a faster ability to shift to cover. Like, yes, height is generally good. I just don't think this height, especially when you were here, is doing you a ton of favors. I think the cover is going to be better for you.
All right.
Okay, let's see if we can get a little more value out of coordinating around our ball. Okay. Good.
Enemy radar contact. I still have
Damn it.
enemy radar.
You heard that first 5 orb. You look there, that Zen is throwing. Okay, that's a fast reaction that you'd have had to have. That's enough distance for you to actually go, no, I don't want this, and close this before all of the orbs get here. Like, yes, one orb is going to get to you, but one orb has no chance of slaying you, whereas multiple orbs do. So there was a window here for you to go, that's a faraway Zen that has his hands like that. There's orbs coming at me. Let me go ahead and close this angle, and I'll take my shots after. Like, you don't necessarily want to challenge into that while the orbs are coming at you. You're happy to shoot at him while he's charging. You're happy to shoot at him if you guys are going to have a straight firefight, but you don't want to go, hey, I'm challenging you when there's already 4 or 5 orbs flying my way.
I still have
Damn
use
it.
for you.
Beautiful.
Need a doctor.
I don't think you reopen this angle yet, though. So there is that Zen there. Okay, too far.
Enemy radar.
This isn't a big deal, but when we look at this, you're discorded. You take this fight while you're discorded, which I can live with because you can do that. But this becomes one of those, hey, your team has won this fight. Your team has relatively cleanly won this fight and earned this space. If you want to go a little more here to give your Mercy the sightline on you, that's fine. But you do know that there was a Zen that was in this general area, is now retreating, etc. But you know there's one in this general area. You kind of want to be in this situation of, hey, you're still discorded, you're still purple. Either one of those is enough that you want to keep this any sight line towards the opponents closed. So let's not do that. And if you see here, you've reopened the angle to challenge this, to challenge to see, even if the Zen wasn't there, you know that there's potentially some threat there. You don't want to open an angle at all when you have Discord on you, when you have purple on you, and when you're at 56 HP. Like, your Mercy's trying, but there's just
I was
nothing
also
she can do.
discarded, so he had walls too on me.
Exactly. Like, there's a lot of reasons you don't want to open this. Like, yes, your team is probably fine if you go down, but we've all seen it where sometimes they're not, and there's just no reason to take the risk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you kindly.
We could talk about that, but we won't.
My servants never die.
That reload's fine. Tried, I don't mind that you missed. Again, I'm just pointing out that it's still happening. There was a 2 ammo reload. I'm not going to point everyone out. I just want you to not think like it only happened for 30 seconds and then it was cleared
Yeah.
from your head. Do you feel comfortable that she could have followed up that shot if you'd hit that flashbang?
Well, I mean, if she was standing still, I would have been able to hit it, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
But
That's
if she was jumping, then it would probably be way harder.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's just like that's a little bit of an awkward angle for most players that they haven't trained a ton. That diagonal up direction, plus it's Tracer. There's a good chance that she'll be moving, but that's fine.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
We gonna press X and get healed? No. Yes. Oh no, your Ana went down. My bad.
Okay.
Did someone call for
Much obliged. Now, hold on.
No, I'm okay with that. Good.
Back to the fishing of bears. Need healing.
No, we'll come back to that.
This life's never uneventful.
Securing the payload.
Again, 2 shots.
adaptive circuits engaged? Road.
It's fine. Who are you going to pivot to? You're going to shoot again instead of pivoting. Then you're going to reload, turn to look for the tracer. Now you can turn back. Good. Okay. Tracer's giving you a bit of a rough time in general here. How do you generally feel about your Tracer matchup? Is this just feeling like, hey, she's the high person in their lobby, or do you generally feel like you struggle with this?
I don't usually. I think the only reason I struggled with that was because I wasn't near my healers, and typically I will hit the stun, but I guess they're like more like they try to bait my stun, and once they they bait
Oh,
my
as soon
stun,
as
then
you
I'm
bait your
screwed.
stun, if you don't get it, they win. Yeah,
Yeah.
no question there. I just noticed you're consistently using your stun pretty early. I got that back here. I got that on first point, etc. And you're definitely not. I'm not referring to the one up here. I'm referring to a different one. And I notice, hey, she's baiting your stun pretty effectively here. So I'm wondering if this is a case of, you're generally struggling with it, or if it's this. But it sounds like you feel in general you play a bit more with your heals. You have a bit more of a lock on how that works. And if that's fine, I don't need to focus on it. If it isn't, we can talk about it more, or we can say, hey, I don't know what your warm-up looks like. I don't know how much deathmatch you're doing, but there's a fair number of tracers in deathmatch right now, of course, to
This
practice
life's
against.
never uneventful.
Moving up.
Hey there.
It's a long rotation, but your team's not really in the fight yet, so that's fine. So I like this. I like that you are up here, but let's start looking a little more at what the timing is, what your threats are, etc. So I don't mind you peeking out here to take the shot at Ana, but now that we turn, do you see what's going on with your team?
Mhm.
Okay, so your team is all sort of dealing with this tracer. Your ball is out getting health packs. You actually did see that your ball was leaving earlier to do some of that, etc. So you're peaking this at a time when it's sort of you against the world. Like your team is sort of turned away, sort of doing other things, etc. So I like the angle, and the angle is great. But part of what makes angles good is they break cover, because cover from you is not cover from your team. Cover from your team is not cover from you. And the other thing is they can't look at both of you at once to evade well. Unfortunately, they can mostly just just look at you right now. And you can't sustain this position forever because you don't have your own support, you don't have your own health packs, etc. So you do want to play a little more off of, okay, my team, you can peek and go, hey, they don't know I'm here. I'm going to peek and try to quickly two-shot the Ana. Great. If that doesn't work, I kind of don't want to peek again until my team re-peeks and baits attention to themselves. Like if I'm at an off angle like this, I want my team to bait some attention before I expose myself, and knowing that when my team peeks, they're going to have to look at a Roadhog that has this hookup. They have to. They can't not. Okay, well, they're going to look, and now I'm safe to peek. My team peeking or my team doing something threatening, etc., is enough for me to go, now in this half second, in this 3/4 of a second is when I want to peak and get something done, etc. And if your team stays peaked, you might stay peaked and you might just continue doing it. If they don't peak, you can do a little bit of, I won't say alternating peaking, but they peak and then you take advantage of their peak to peak, and maybe they unpeak, and then you go, shit, it's too hot, so you unpeak, and then they peak again because they were looking at you, and you sort of chains like this. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Cool.
Down for the count. This is not
Check get him. Escorting the payload.
enemy seen.
You wanted to rotate up against here, I wouldn't mind it. Yeah.
I need a doctor.
So that's again one of these seconds where you did this, you broke the angle, and you immediately went back in. And it's possible that this Zarya was going to come anyways, but again, the fight is sort of happening over here. If you break this angle and keep it closed for 2 seconds, for 3 seconds, that's going to feel like an eternity to them, and they're most of the time going to want to go back to contributing to this fight over here. But really, 2 or 3 seconds, well, that's about as long as it would take you to rotate back to fighting with your team anyways, right? So you can go,
Yeah.
well, I'll wait 2, 2.5, 3 seconds, and then I re-peek and you're not even looking, and I get another shot to go for my opening, hit on people that aren't even looking at me, etc.
It's time. Draw.
Огонь по готовности. Майдан.
Good. Now I'm gonna grab the health back through here.
I think I didn't go for the health back because
You saw the
I was
mercy.
already health.
Yeah, you
Pretty
got
like-
some health back. I saw you got some health back. You had the mercy there. I don't dislike you. Yeah, you got some healing there. Yeah, you got enough mercy help there, and hey, there's a mercy here that you want. I get it, and that preserves the health pack for if you do take some more pressure to drop back and grab it.
Hold up now.
Okay. I'd say get it now, but the mercy came back up, so you're fine.
Take cover.
I'm on fire. Just what the doctor ordered. And that's how the West was working.
I don't mind what you did there, but let's take another look.
Easy. I'm on fire.
You get that.
Just
Come
what
back
the
here, which is
doctor ordered.
fine. You don't see him there, but then you will turn and find him.
Pardon
This is
me.
acceptable. but now you know you're in a dangerous spot.
And that's how the
Um,
West was won.
I don't love this because this is a more aggressive angle, which, that's not necessarily bad, but this is a more aggressive angle. You have nothing in terms of cooldowns here, and while your ball came by with low health and was clearly looking for the mega, not to help you. So I'm kind of looking at this and going, hey, if they absolutely have to touch the cart, if they are like, 0.1 meter, 1 meter, 4 meters, whatever from capping, and they're trickling out one at a time, sure, maybe. But I'm looking at this, and they can still give the cart a little distance, come out in waves, and you don't really have any sort of way out like this. Like, you are very forcible. This is an aggressive angle that you don't really have the tools to hold. So I'm thinking that we do, obviously hindsight is 2020 here, but I'm thinking that we do want to be going, rather than this, sort of retreating back to our safer high ground perch. Because, again, your team doesn't have sightlines to support you here. This only works if they're going after your team first, etc. Which, at this point, you guys are wiped. Now we're going to reset. Oh, the bubble. The evil bubble. You find your team. Okay. Ooh.
This lap's never uneventful.
You're gonna have to roll. But you're fine with the roll, yep.
Do not have time to waste. Attack now.
My servants never die. Helden sterben nicht.
Duplicating rotor.
System.
Okay.
Let's get you back in the fight.
Good.
I keep you used. Get me.
It's hand.
Okay. I agree. You've been doing better with the Tracer since we had the discussion there. So clearly wasn't overwhelming you. Just a bad string to start. So remember, this is a little more where you want to play a little more with here, where it's like, hey, I have this, I can see the point. I don't need to be the one on the point. My tanks can do that, and I'm a little closer to babysit my Ana, etc. Like, yes, you do want your angles, but I noticed as we were pushing up, you're spending a lot of time sort of at the front, in front of the point, when your Ana's back here, and, oh, hey, there is a Tracer wandering around back here, etc. And that Tracer is going to distract her for a lot longer than it's going to distract you and her. But that's fine.
I would actually get so mad if I did.
I know. Okay. So that's fine. The biggest thing we've seen so far is definitely the reloads. There's missing damage there, and like a meaningful amount of missing damage. We're not talking like 0.5%. We're talking like 6, 8, etc% more damage. And what we're looking at besides that is, again, it's just going to be understanding, hey, when you do take these off angles, which you're not doing a ton as McCree, but when you do take off angles, you do want to go, hey, if my team isn't in this, I don't necessarily want to be in it other than the peak, and I want them to bait some attention, then I'll go, etc. type stuff. Like, I want them to be shooting at my core, which has a little more support, before they're shooting at me. I want them to open the angle first, unless I'm opening an angle they're unaware of, not pre-looking at, etc. But again, I want to be careful with that advice, because I don't want you to accidentally turn that into I have to be taking off angles a lot, because that is not what the that's not what it is. It's just when you are, how to use them.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Get it done. Thank you.
Enemy radar contact.
That'll get it done.
Going free.
Barrier is out of existence. Barrier is unstable.
Why don't I like this? Did I lose you, or are you thinking? Lumbo?
My mic was on mute. My bad.
Oh.
It's because I was antied and I was speaking.
Right, exactly. I'm going to say a similar thing about the Discord here. It's really even more dangerous to you, but that's fine.
Focus my target.
And you're not like a tank. You don't necessarily drag every drag every Discord to get rid of it, but it is something where you want to be exceptionally aware that you're peeking, etc. Like if a fight is happening, sometimes you're just going to have to deal with it as a DPS, but the fight isn't happening, when you're peeking into this sort of still poke battle that's going on, etc. It's going to cost your team very little for you to not poke for 3 seconds there. Whereas you're not poking for 3 seconds when you're more in a brawl situation like this. This is a little more of a serious fight, can be more expensive. Okay, not in this one in particular because your team's cleanly up, but you get the idea. I hope.
My sons never die.
Good.
Newton, don't move.
Okay, let's see where you reset now. That's where the card is.
Nano boost is ready to deploy.
Thank you kindly.
My ultimate is fully charged. Get ready.
Enemies in our orbit. I need healing.
Drag it. Yep.
Barrier's about to break.
Duplication initiated.
Nano boost administered.
Upgrade detected.
It's handy. Activating the barrier. And that's how the West was won.
Personality. Hello there.
Enemies in our orbit.
Moving.
Damn it. Easy. Oh, there.
A little unfortunate, but you got her. You pushed that pretty hard, but you dodged the hook, so we'll live. I actually think you wanted to play with this cover a little more and take the fight that was here. If you follow what I'm saying, let's go back just a touch.
Oh, there.
So you've got 2 targets right here. You don't need to open this angle further, right? Like, yes, there is a
Yeah.
hog there, but it's like, nope. And this is something we've covered before, and I'm not seeing a ton of this, but this one becomes a
60 seconds.
Oh, that'll do fine.
since you just stop and cart, that's fine.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Thank you.
Adjusting angle of
Thank you kindly.
Hello there.
Going free.
possessed.
I think you had too many eyeballs on you when you started that.
Feel like a man possessed.
This is fine. So this is getting pretty aggressive. What did you really get by transitioning from effectively back here, where you sort of, had the ability to rotate back into cover, to up here? Like, yes, it's a steeper angle, but this isn't high ground that you can close the angle on them with, right? You can't go deep enough on the high ground to close it on them. So, you're a little closer to them. That makes the shots a little bit easier. It's a little steeper. They have to look a little harder. I just don't think this transition was worth it, and I don't think you, didn't have targets from back here. How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, I guess I know what you mean, because it's everyone's looking at me right now. I shouldn't even pop Titan. I should have went, if I was going to take this angle, I should have went to the rock to the left of it
Mm-hmm.
and actually take out cover there.
Right, right. If you chose to go hey, I'm here, I stay here for 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds to lose some hate, and then I high noon, yeah, totally, that can work. This, it's sort of hey, I'm not even convinced that we needed to rotate from here to here, but if we were going to rotate from here to here, we're definitely on the same page on the high noon.
This life's never unpredictable. Warm up here. Thank you.
Barrier in place. Barrier unstable. My barrier is destroyed.
What's your tank push out? Yes, I am aware how close we are. Good.
I could use some assistance.
Fine. That's effectively junk time where you don't have much choice.
The cavalry's here.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Baiting me into thinking we're going to review more Tracer. Okay. Oh, Reaper. Okay.
Walks among you.
How does this change what you have comp-wise? So you are now running Echo Reaper with a Sigma Zarya line. They've got themselves Zarya Hog with a McCree Genji. Interesting. Okay. What aren't you liking? What inspired this swap? So I know you first went through
Hog.
Tracer. It's Hog that inspired this pick for you? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I just wanted him to get off Hog.
Sure, sure. Good mix of crouch walking here. How did he live long enough to get lamp off?
It's high noon.
Huh. Okay. And now lamp's off, and that's fine. You've done your job. I'm just surprised that you took your lamp, to be perfectly honest. She knows where you are. Yeah.
It's high noon.
So this is fine. But when we think about where your reasonable exits were, and where you can get with a Wraith, what do you think your best route out from here is in hindsight?
I actually think into their spawn would probably be better, because I'll drag them out of the fight further.
That's potentially fine. It's going to be tough for you to really get out.
Yeah, but actually get out, I don't think I had any options.
Yeah. So I think what you're looking to do here is, hey, you're looking to potentially one-shot the BAP or, two-shot him before you can get a lamp out. This is a common enough play to go, hey, I'm going to do this as Reaper. I'm going to get lamp and then I'm going to Wraith out. That's not a super rare play, because you look at it and go, hey, my Wraith is on a lot shorter cooldown than his lamp. His lamp is a big deal, etc. But it unfortunately is going to be hard for you to get out to like here or here, where you can use a health pack and sort of get back into it, etc. So I think, yeah, you sort of wanted to go, hey, let me Wraith out this way, or let me, Wraith out, towards their spawn is fine, and then you try to work your way back out to here if they stop paying attention to you, and then through here, and then you can do the same thing. So that's fine. And there probably wasn't a need to stay in long enough to break his lamp, to be perfectly honest. Like, as soon as he pops his lamp, it's sort of a case of, well, it would have been great to take you down, didn't, got your lamp. Now when we look at how these two cooldowns trade, you're going to be waiting 20 seconds, I'm going to be waiting 8 after we factor in your Wraith time here. Yeah, I'm pretty good with that trade, right? So we probably could have gone out a little earlier. You did end up getting the nade, so it's not valueless that you stayed in late there, except that, now you go down, etc. But that's fine.
Well met. Justice ain't gonna dispense itself.
Moving up.
That's unusual. Did you think the Genji...
I think I just fat fingered it. I don't know why.
That's fine. That's fine. I was gonna say that's unusual for you. And you're just kind of stuck here. Okay, good.
Fire at will.
Its destination.
I thought it would work, but it didn't.
For some reason, Bastion against a Nano Genji was not the.
Cheers, love. Cavalry
Okay, that's actually okay timing. You do that. No one's paying attention to you. No eyeballs on you. That was your last blink when no eyeballs were on you. Ah, too far. Is anyone looking at you?
I think someone behind me. I think it was the Zarya that was beating me. Oh, not anymore. I mean, I think she was doing it for a split second, and it scared me, and I blinked forward because of it.
Okay, let's rewind just a pixel. Right, tracer glitch. You're at 148. No, she wasn't trying to beam you. She was trying to beam across you towards your Mercy and your Ana there. But I get it. You felt like there was a tension on you. You felt like, I'm taking damage, I need to move, etc. I understand it. Okay.
Ever get that feeling of deja vu?
Okay.
Round.
A chance to focus.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
I thought we were going to get a Bastion special. Okay.
My friend, I mean, not my friend, one of the people in that group was like, no Bastion.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, man.
I mean, I don't love the pick, but if you're going to do it, this is one of the best maps for it. So, you know what? Hey, why not?
Yeah. It was also because of our tanks. We didn't really have like a bunker comp for it.
Yeah, no, you are correct. I do want to see. Oh, I want to go back a little further. Why did you drop to the ground here rather than maintaining your high ground? Was it a, hey, I really want these stickies and my angle's better from here?
I think it was because of the threat of like the McCree and the Anna.
Yeah, so I understand that. You can actually still play this pretty well. You can't play it quite as well as a Farah can. You're a little more divey, a little less stay in the air forever than she is, of course. But this is still pretty viable, and it's a pretty extreme angle for her. But okay, or for the two of them. But okay.
I don't. I also don't think I had any information of people on being on the left side, so I didn't want to like risk it of speaking like because I don't know the other DPS, right? Like it's a
Right.
Bastion. I did not know like who
Of
it
course.
was. So.
Of course.
I think I tunneled on the Anna too much there, but I
Little
also didn't
bit.
know they had a Bastion that was just
Yep.
like beaming me down there.
That is true. You have a window to see the Bastion there, but I get it. You're tunneled on Vienna. You've got flight left. You've got flight left. You don't have any cooldowns when you engage this dive. That's a little interesting. I don't love necessarily that you're actually committing to a dive here without cooldown. So you use that. You use your focusing beam here and super early. And I see that Anna. I do, and she's juicy. But I don't think...
I thought she would just stay there and just let me two-shot her, because that's
Sure.
stuff that sometimes happens.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah, I should have had my cooldowns there. That would have been better.
Lifting off.
This is not the end.
10 seconds remaining.
It's not too late for a new strategy.
Finishing on high ground this time. You took out their McCree and you know it, and you have flight, so I'm a little surprised that you haven't already transitioned up here. Like, you're not on McCree anymore, you're on Echo. You do want to take time to take these steep angles, be more dangerous, etc. Yeah, I'm not going to complain about using flight to dive, of course, but I would like to see a little more, especially when you've dealt with the hit scan threat of going, hey, my flights end me on high ground. My flights, are to take angles like this to get people. My flights put me here where I'm then threatening from a different place. You are getting, you're not getting a full mercy pocket. You're just never going to get a full mercy pocket on the ladder, but you are getting some attention paid to you.
We're making progress.
Great job.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Casting a spell.
Mobility increased. Adaptive circuits engaged.
Do you guys really have the positioning for you to be all-inning like this?
I think I ulted because I was low health. I just
Yeah,
needed it
you
to stay
did.
alive.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of what you did. I'm just thinking of should we have been pushing that hard in the first place.
Sigma. Adaptive circuits engaged. Sigma.
That's fine. I know you're missing health. You do have a trans going, so if you press X, there is actually a decent chance that your mercy will come over here and get you.
Come on.
Nothing's yet looking at you from this direction. And this hog also wasn't looking at you. So this is an unfortunate shift in that it wastes, a fair percentage of your duplicate time just by the nature of the fact that you can't really cancel it early.
Reversing course analysis.
Okay. I'm a little surprised that you're staying in quite here.
Come on.
That happens. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was a little surprised you drifted forward here, is all I'm saying, because you know that the McCree just took you out of your duplicate, etc. You kind of know where he is, and you sort of want to be maintaining this area. Getting closer to this hog doesn't really meaningfully help you shoot him.
Mark on my target.
Until focusing beam anyways.
This is not your time.
Thanks for the second chance. Taking off.
Enemies are enemies in our orbit.
Okay, so McCree's down. The skies are yours if you want them. And I think here you do want them. I look at this and go, hey, I would prefer to, rather than have to, shoot hog from, this like, hey, I can barely see him type situation, I'd prefer to spend a little more upwards angle where he still can't get you with your hook, but you can do more on A, the hog, or B, you can go after the Discord for the better damage, or C, you can continue to poke out the Tracer, who's still not going to hurt you at that distance, both of which are better than the hog. Did our Discord drop? No, Discord's on the end now. Okay. You have flight. That would have been, yeah. Okay.
Round 3.
So nothing too crazy there. I think there was a little bit of target prioritization at the end, but that's not what I'm super worried about. I think, there's a little more with the flight where I would have liked you up here. I was surprised you drifted forward here. I think you did have a window to go up here, etc. There's some flight stuff that I think you can polish a bit more, but nothing like, game breaking going on.
Neural adaptation. Round 3. Complete. Initiating match.
I'm paused. There we go.
Ready for battle.
So now you got your Bastion. Okay.
Because they had a double shield and they're like, sure, let's do it.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Keep an eye on
Wait, I have a question though. Would it be better to just hold that angle or back up so you can only get that angle, or have both angles like viewed for you? Like like the one on the top right? Should I back up?
Are you saying here on Bastion, or are we talking back with Echo?
On Bastion.
Okay. On Bastion, do you want this angle, or do you want this angle, you're saying?
No, like just a little bit more back where I am currently. So like I don't have like the view of the top right.
Yeah. So I actually do like you here. I do prefer you here, where you have the top right view, because you do have the shield going on, and it becomes a thing of you, like you could go, hey, I'm going to be a bit back further because it is unlikely that they show up default through here, but if you don't get communication and 6 of them, with a Reinhardt shield or whatever, march up to here and show up here, you're going to be mighty unhappy, aren't you? That you had to rotate forward, etc., before you can do anything. Basically they're going to get through here for free, or they're going to get, down here for free and then rotate around, etc. So you're pretty much mandated to going here unless you have good comms. You have someone up here going, a Sombra, a ball, something telling you, okay, where they're going, etc. So I do like you here, yes. Change your angle. Okay. Good movement. Eh,
I did not mean to drop that.
got it. I'm like, good movement, and then you do this. Okay, that's fine. So we know we didn't want to drop here. So be it. You need to move. Yeah. Touch slow at shooting at that halt.
60 seconds.
Play from here is fine. Turn. You need to turn and check. Yep.
I always like Matrix ready.
Damage increased.
Don't pre-commit. Let your tank do it. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily expect them to come here. I hope your team is watching cave.
Unstable.
It's early.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 seconds.
Well, I think I popped because of it being overtime. That's probably why.
It
Of it
wasn't
being
though.
close to
You were
overtime?
still okay. You were still 10 seconds from overtime. Okay, this is apparently right when you pop it, perhaps, and we're still 12 seconds out.
I mean, they're sort of forced to
10
push in, though, right?
seconds remaining.
I guess they did go to the, well, to the
Yeah,
right of.
they're forced to push in, but okay, if we look at what their comp is, I mean, really, with 12 seconds left, we don't think a tracer can get by you to touch. Like, you know, they can sort of
Mhm.
wait, do some of that, etc. Okay, good effort. Yeah, I mean, if that was 4 seconds later, you'd have no complaints from me. If that was even 2 seconds later, I'd go, yeah, that's fine-ish. But that one, it is a little early. You don't want to just be like, oh, the timer says that they have to, etc., because there could be a tracer. You know, in other comps, there could be a Sombra, a Ball, etc., that is there. There could be someone that you guys didn't realize you finished that just goes back here and touches, and then, you know, okay, your team's going to clear them pretty quick, but as you go to deal with it, they come in, etc. That's not a big deal.
Burning them down. Executing flight manifest.
Compelling gameplay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we look at this, our big takeaways are going to be I think the McCree thing is going to get you the most bang for your buck in terms of your ammo management there. That is going to take some work to actively undo because it is a habitual thing, and you're going to have to like be very conscious of, oh shoot, I just did it, etc. And it is going to be kind of distracting as you're working that out of your reflexive stuff, etc. So you want to hit your reloads when you're actually not going to have a target to shoot at for the amount of time that it takes your reload to happen, and you don't want to be like looking away from stuff to give yourself an excuse to reload, and you don't want to go, oh, I'm down 3 shots, let me go behind cover, but I'm really going behind cover to give myself an excuse to reload type stuff. You want to make sure that, you know, that's sort of happening in the right priority order in terms of if you need cover because you're taking fire, enemies are looking at you, totally fine. And if while you're behind cover you want to reload, fine. But you want to make sure you're not entering situations where I spent 2 bullets, I spent 4 bullets, etc. Now let me go behind cover to reload, or let me reload in the middle of the open, or let me check behind me, and that'll sort of be an excuse to reload because, oh, there wasn't anything here, so I'm not looking at anything, etc. The other thing on your McCree is going to be, and this will apply to Echo too, but more so to McCree. When you are on an off angle, this applies to, you know, poke heroes in general. When you are on an off angle, you want to be thinking of this as, hey, if my team is poking, that's a great excuse for me to poke. If no one's looking, I can potentially poke like you did. You opened for 2 shots on that Anna on third that we're using as an example. But the other times you can go, hey, you know, I don't want to just be the first person poking and I don't want to keep poking, even if I'm on an off angle, if my team isn't also poking, and if it's going to be me and my team poking, I'd frequently like my team to poke first. Like if I open on the Ana, for example, I'm then going to close the angle and wait for a second or two while my team gets in, starts pulling some eyeballs to them, and then I'm going to reopen. And, same thing that we saw when you went on the flank on the right into the Zarya there, where it's like, hey, I'm on this. I go for my surprise open. I don't get it. I could take 3 seconds to rotate back to my team, or I could wait 2.5, 3 seconds, reopen on the same angle. It'll be more powerful than being with my team. It takes the same amount of time as rotating back to them would, and I've got another chance at doing some real work from an angle they're not looking at, etc. When we move over to the Echo, some of that angle stuff still applies because it applies to all poke heroes, where it's the, hey, if you can open angles, apply risk to yourself at times when they're already looking at the team, or when, both you and your team, or you and another angle friend at a different angle are actually applying pressure, that's when you want to do it. You don't want to be like, aha, I'm challenging you, when your team is like, oh, but we're back here dealing with this thing, whoops, etc. But not a huge deal there. We didn't see that on your Echo. It just does apply like it would apply to the McCree. But more what we saw is, more willingness to go, hey, I am going to use the height a little bit more. I am going to be willing to play here once I've dealt with the threat that makes it dangerous to me. Or the, hey, I am going to be back here. This was more of a keep the angle closed type thing. I think we saw 2 instances of this, and this was that, and this was the smaller one. The other one was back here. That's from your previous session. Hey, let's keep the angle closed. And then we had another flight one here where it's like, hey, the McCree's down, the sky is yours, you can do more work from here, the Tracer can't really threaten you, the Hog can't threaten you, and you can, of course, have the better angle to follow the Discord to really do the work, etc. If I had to say another thing, it would be, hey, pay a little more respect in general to Discord and Purples, but that's probably what I've got for you, and I'm happy to write those up and send them over. Do you have any questions, anything you'd like to get into?
Nope.
Okay. Then good stuff. Let me go ahead and close out the video here. Boom.